So we give praise, esteem, and honor, and Baruch, YAHUAH, Bahashem, YAHUSHA. Yakanan 539, stinks. Stinks. And it says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come unto me, that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I want you to look at Matthew 23 and 13. We touched this one day a little bit, but because of this matter with these sodomites, and it's not the issue of the sodomites. It's a sad deal when people get killed. You know what I'm saying? It's more sad for the people left behind than the people that died. You understand what I'm saying? At the same token, these were transgressors. You know what I'm saying? You have to have enough sense to know that there's an agenda going on, whether it's for gun control, whether it's for fake terrorism. But the biggest thing it is for the acceptance of homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? Because now they done killed a whole bunch of rump ranging, pillow biting, carpet munching people. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm supposed to be shedding tears. Like these people tell you to pray for Orlando. Who are you praying to? You know what I'm saying? Because this man doesn't sit back and tell you to pray for no sinners. This man don't even pray for no sinners. It's his desire that sinners repent, but he's not praying for you. His ears are not open to their cries. His eyes are not upon them. Let's sit back and see what his words say. Don't sit back and go how you feel. You know what I'm saying? People go sit back and go how they feel. I want you to look at Psalms 37 and 28. How you feel gonna get you burning in hell. Nobody really cares how you feel. What does the word say? That's why some people make let's sit back and look at why people make bad mistakes. Judge wrong. Judgment's off. Psalms 37:28. Listen what this man say. For YAHUAH loved judgment and forsake not his condemnation. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speak wisdom, and his tongue talk of judgment. The Torah of his Elohim is in his lamp or his heart. None of his steps shall slide. It says this man loves judgment. So now we need to sit back and see what that means. He said he loved judgment. And it said the mouth of the righteous, they tongue keep it in they keep that. So then we got to sit back and look at what judgment is. I know I mentioned Matthew 23 and 13. I get to it in a second. The word for judgment, we looked at it before, is mishpat. It's judgment, justice, and ordinance. It's an act of deciding a case. It's a sentence. It's a decision. It's what's right, what's proper, and what's fitting. That's what it is. He say those that are righteous, they tongue speak of it. Tongue is lashon, tongue of fire, tongue literally, tongue of men, tongue of organ of speech or language. So when we look at a tongue of fire, just sit back and look at something. Say it's a tongue of fire. Let's just keep that in mind. Say the righteous keep judgment in their mouth. Let's look at Matthew 23 and 13 real fast. Say YAHUAH love judgment. So that means YAHUAH love what's right. What you love. How you love YAHUAH, you don't love what's right. According to him, not according to you. There's a way that seems right unto a man, but the ways thereof are the end thereof are the ways of death. So you judge it to be right, and you could go to hell for it, because you judging it according to your personal opinion. You ain't judging according to the word. Not Matthew 23 and 13, 23 and 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the Torah, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye have to done, and not to leave the other undone. Now we're just going to look in Greek and just see what that says over here in Matthew. I know it's not going to mean nothing what it would in Hebrew. I'm just curious to see what it's saying. I know the brother's supposed to sing me something. I got to remind him about it. Now it's crisis, and this is separating, sundering, a separation, a trial, a contest, sentence of condemnation, injustice, right or wrong, concerning justice, an opinion or decision given concerning anything. Now, let's go look at the law. Let's say Yahuwah law judgment. Leviticus 19 and 15. The night ain't necessarily about pulling out the master. It's about sitting back looking at, well, you got to know how to judge properly. Not knowing how to decide what's right and what's wrong is going back to what we were talking about last week about being a babe, not discerning good and evil because you ain't been using the word. 19 and 15. Listen what this man said. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. So you know what it means? You can't judge it based on who that person is. Oh, that's my wife, so I'm going to judge it like this. Or that person rich. Or that person is this. Go to James chapter 2 real fast about verse 7. Can't do that. That man say, no unrighteousness in judgment. Shall not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness. That's how you got to judge it. That's what a lot of people have respect to persons. Can't have no respect to persons. You got to judge about what's right. It don't matter who it is. Righteousness of this. And y'all know what that is. That's the Sadek. And again, that's righteousness. What is right? What is just? So you got to do it according to what's just. Not according to what you feel. We know justice is upright and that's blameless. There's no iniquity with Yahuwah. The judgment is of Yahuwah. It's not of man. So you have to judge. That's what people don't sit back and realize. If you judging for Yahuwah. You're not judging for yourself. James 2 and 7. 2 and 5. 2 and 1, matter of fact. Oh, my page is torn. Let me see what I can't read it off that thing. James 2 and 1. I can't read it off that thing. Give me a second. Here we go. My brethren, have not the faith of our master YAHUAH HaMashiach, the master of esteem, with respect of persons. For if there come unto your assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there also come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and you have respect to him that wear the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit thou here in a good place, and say to the poor, stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool, are ye not then partial in yourselves, and become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not Elohim chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him, but you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by which you are called? If you fulfill the royal Torah according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, you do well. But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. So if you judge it, you can't have respect to persons. See, a lot of people have respect to persons, or you have respect to persons, I mean there's a bias involved. I'm going to lean towards this person. Or I'm going to lean towards this or lean toward. You can't do that. You break the Torah when you do that. Now you are a transgressor. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. That's a sour deal. I'm going to show you why. Proverbs 17 and 15. I guess we'll look a little bit at the master tonight. I guess we will. I'm going to sit back and show you how these people have respect to persons in judgment. Proverbs 17 and 15. He said, he that justify the wicked and he that condemns the just, even they are an abomination to Yahuwah. You know how bad that is? You justify a wicked man, Yah hates you. If you condemn a just man, Yah hates you. Now let's look at 1 Peter 3 and 17 just for a basis, because you know where we got to go with it. That's a lot of people's problem in this world. They like to justify the wicked. These people trying to justify these homosexuals in Orlando. You can't justify the men or the women. You can't justify the people with God. The people wicked before him. The people wicked before him. You sit back and you look at somebody, well, I like them, or they my people, and they wicked, and you trying to justify them. You are an abomination. That's That's a sin. You utterly detestable. Something that small that you don't think could get you down can get you down because you justifying the wicked. And usually when you justify the wicked, you're going to condemn the just in the means to do so. We can't be around here justifying no wicked people. (3 and 17). For it is better, if the will of Elohim be so, that you suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. Again, this is showing judgment. And Yah's eyesight is what's right. He loveth judgment. To him, it's better if the will of the Most High be so, that you suffer for doing good and not evil. You know, a lot of people suffer for doing wrong. You doing wrong, that's why you suffer. He says it's acceptable if you suffer and you ain't did nothing wrong, and you take it patiently. Now go back to what I was telling y'all a couple weeks ago. Man, ain't no encouragement in you doing wrong. How you going to get encouragement in you doing wrong? That's going against the book. That's wrong. That's wrong judgment. That's a sin. That is a sin. For Mashiach also once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to Elohim, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Ruach. So let's look at Matthew 27. He say the just for the unjust. He say it's an abomination to condemn the just. An abomination to condemn the just. And he say it's an abomination to justify the wicked. And what did this people do? That exact thing. So we have to sit back and look at that. Is that what we doing? Are we doing that very same thing? Matthew 27 and 18. 27 and 15. Now at that feast the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore when they had gathered together, Pilate said unto them, Whom will you that I release unto you, Barabbas or YAHUAH, which is called Mashiach? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. And when he was sat down on the judgment seat, his wife said unto him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy YAHUAH. And the governor answered and said unto them, Whether the twain will ye that I release unto you? They said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, What shall I do then with YAHUAH, which is called Mashiach? They all say unto him, Let him be crucified. And the governor said, Why? What evil have he done? But they cried out the more, saying, Let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but rather atonement was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he scourged YAHUAH, he delivered him to be crucified. Now you sit back and you look at it. When you condemn the just, or you condemn what's right, because that's what it is to deal righteously, to judge in righteousness. When you condemn what's right, you condemn the HaMashiach, which means you no different than the people who screamed out crucifying. Why would you think Yah would hate you for that? When you justify the wicked, like these people said, like these people just did, they justify the murderer. John 8 and 44, look and see when you justify the wicked, who you actually justifying. This is what you doing, because he that commits sin is of the devil. In this we know the children of the sons of Elohim are manifest, and the sons of the devil. So when you justify the wicked, this is who you justifying. 8 and 42. This is who you justifying. So get what? We try to justify a homosexual, you justifying Satan. That's who you justifying. You justify a sinner, you justifying Satan. That's who you justifying. Matter of fact, hold on one second. I didn't want to let that be known. That ain't what I say, that's what the book say. Take it up with YAHUAH. Let me know how it work out for you. When we look at justify, it is sadak, and it literally means to be just, to be righteous, to have a just cause, be in the right, to be just of Elohim, to be just, righteous in conduct and character, to make appear righteous, to justify, vindicate the cause of, and to save. Do you not realize that's what we doing? You saying a wicked person is right before Elohim. That's ugly. That's real ugly. Niggas don't really be sitting back thinking what they saying. You sit back and say, well, they're a good person. According to who? You're justifying the wicked. You're saying what's wicked is right. Isaiah 5:20 say, woe unto them that call good evil and evil good. That means woe means destruction, damnation. You know what I'm saying? Like, do we really realize what you really realize the level of sin you commit? I don't think people realize the level of sin they commit. I don't think people really realize how serious it is that when you justify the wicked, you justify Satan. John 8:42. YAHUAH said unto them, if Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I proceed forth and came from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech, even because you cannot hear my word? Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speak a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convince me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim. This man say, if I tell you the truth, why you don't believe it when I tell it to you? Same thing we can say to y'all. If we're telling you the truth, why you don't believe it when we tell it to you? You don't believe it because you are unjust individual. It's wickedness in your heart. This man say, if you justify the wicked, you're an abomination. These people justify a murderer. To justify a murderer, we got to go back and see who his daddy is. We got to go back and see who his daddy is. Your dad is the devil. So when you justify the wicked, for all intents and purposes, according to this book, you are justifying Satan, the devil, that dragon, that serpent, that one who deceived the whole world. That's who you saying is right. Because you can't say, they both can't be right, can y'all and the devil can't be right at the same time, can we know they ain't saying the same thing. So we know they ain't. That man said, YAHUAH said he loved judgment. He loved what's right. Satan don't love what's right. Well, how we get in a state like that? How we get to, I want you to look at Malachi 2:17. I didn't want y'all to see what the book say. I ain't going to take too much of your time. I just need a little bit of your time. I don't want much. Malachi 2:17. Listen to what the man say. Real short, real sweet. Listen to what he say. You have wearied YAHUAH with your words. When you say wearied, tiring. You made the man tired with your words. Let's see what he say. Yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? When ye say, everyone that do evil is good in the sight of YAHUAH. How we get to that point where we sitting back saying, people that do evil are good in this man's eyesight? How is that possible? Hold this and look at Psalms chapter 5. How is that possible? All we need to sit back and look at what the book says. This should motivate a man to sit back and look at, let me change my way or let me consider before I speak. Because when you saying those that are evil are good in his sight, you are justifying the wicked. You are wearying this man with that. He is tiring of hearing you say this. Because he doesn't go along with it nor agree with it. Psalm 5. Let me see what that verse says. Look at verse 10. I ain't want that there, but I'm trying to recall what that verse is that I desired. Oh, it's verse 4. Back it up and look at verse 4. Hold on. All right, man, hold on.
This line is now off hold.
So we look at Psalms 5 and 4, right? I'll make it 3 though. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O YAHUAH. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up. For thou art not an Elohim that have pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. That's why Paul told you, he that is joined to the master is one ruach. He said, shall we take the members of the master and have them joined to a harlot? Elohim forbid. Ain't no evil dwelling with this man. So how are we going to turn around and justify the wicked and say those that do evil are good in his eyesight, not realizing we justify Hashatan, showing that you done show unrighteousness and judgment and that you are worthy of death. Because you just call good evil and evil good. Just that fast you done committed a sin. Just that fast you done committed an abomination. Deuteronomy 25 say all unrighteousness is an abomination. Anything that ain't right is detestable before Yahuwah. Now we have to sit back and look at that. That's a heavy thing to think about. He say the foolish shall not stand in our sight. Thou hate all the workers of iniquity. Hate them all. Like how do people skip over these verses and miss them? But look at verse 10 though. He say, destroy thou them, O Elohim, and let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them into the cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against thee. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defend them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, Yahuwah, will bless the righteous with favor. Thou shalt compass him with as a shield. Him as with a shield. Now you notice he gave encouragement to the righteous. He said it's good for the righteous to suffer for doing good. It's not the will Elohim for you to suffer for doing wrong. You ain't going to get no encouragement. This man said, let them be cast out in the multitude of their transgression. Let's look at Revelation 22 and 15. Cast them out. That's why he said you'll be cast out. There should be a weeping and gnashing of teeth in the multitude of your sins. And you're supposed to be able to judge that correctly. When something get brought to you, you're supposed to be able to know how to determine what's right and what's wrong. Then people supposed to sit back and look at YAHUAH ain't did nothing wrong. Barabbas is a killer. We'll take the master. We don't want Barabbas. They couldn't do that. Because all that goes back to is Proverbs 29 and 27. The just is an abomination to the unjust, and the unjust is an abomination to the just. And if the unjust do not utterly offend you, then guess what that makes you? 22 and 15. Make it 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever love and make a lie. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions. You can't come in here. See, I was talking to Kier about this here, and I'm going to go ahead and work it like this here. I'm going to go and work this here. When you know how to judge properly, then you're going to know how to execute a proper sentence. Now, I want you to look at Numbers chapter 12. I was talking to little stand by this here, because people like, man, you told that little boy you were going to spit in his face. Now, I know the people in the room, according to the book, should have known exactly why that statement was made. I can told somebody else I ought to spit in your face. It ain't just to be hocking no loogie in somebody's face. Knowing the law, you're supposed to know the background behind that statement and why it's made. Well, let's look at Numbers chapter 12 and see why it's made. So if anybody sit back and they ever look at this here, they'll sit back and they hear me say, boy, I ought to spit in your face. They'll know why I said it. Because all I'm doing is just saying what's in the book. 12 and 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. He had married an Ethiopian woman. You know what they just did? They just judged wrong. And they judged with respect to persons because the bias was in their heart. They had unrighteousness and judgment. Because they felt like they wanted to elevate themselves. This is why Yahuwah was mad with them. Not only for speaking against Moses, but for unrighteous judgment. You judge it according to your own personal desire. And they said, has Yahuwah indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And Yahuwah heard it. Now Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahuwah spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out, ye three, unto the tabernacle of the congregation, and they three came out. And Yahuwah came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood at the door of the tabernacle and called to Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words, if there be a prophet among you, I, Yahuwah, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, not in dark speeches, and the similitude of Yahuwah shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against him, and he departed. This man was hot behind that. Look what he tell Miriam though. Look Look at verse 6. Let's just keep on going. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous. Miriam becomes leprous. Now we know what leprosy is a similitude of, right? Death. Death. So we can look at this leprosy. It's the word here, saraz, to be the skees of the skin or to be leprous. We know to sit back and look at that as that's being a byproduct of being covered with sin. She got sin on her. Look what happens after that. Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my master, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, wherein we have sinned. So they know they done did wrong. Let her not be as one dead. You see what he said? Don't let it. That's how we can take leprosy and denote it with being one as a similitude of death. Don't let her be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he come out of his mother's womb. Moses cried unto YAHUAH, saying, Heal her now, O Elohim, I beseech thee. He asked for her to be healed. Look what he tell him back. And YAHUAH said unto Moses, If her father had but spit in her face, she should not be ashamed 7 days. Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received again. And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. So the purpose why he said her daddy should have spit in her face, because she would have not been ashamed when she did something out of pocket. So the purpose of that statement is you should learn some shame, because through being shamed, you should learn what? Some humility. He said if you would have done it, that would have happened, you wouldn't be ashamed. He said, I would have to put you out. So let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 5, and let's look at something what Paul said. Then we'll look at something in Ezekiel 36, then Jeremiah chapter 3. Here's what's wrong with people. See, Ken would tell about that little girl got all her hair cut off, mama cut her bald, and everybody going crazy. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I would cut my daughter's hair bald. You get Isaiah chapter 3 behind that too. But the purpose was for her to shame her, because her behavior was shameful. So because of the rebuke and repercussion that you received that you wasn't shamed, I got to take it up a notch. And wicked people don't want to be shamed, because you're not really repentant and sorry and humble and contrite about what you're doing. You ready to go back and do it again. Only a sinner will sit back and be like, she shouldn't have did her like that. Shoot, if her mama felt like it was just judgment to cut her head bald for her disrespectful, disobedient, shameful behavior, who am I to say it's wrong? It's just. It's just. What's wrong with it? Other than you sitting back looking at some emotional stuff. What about the emotional stuff you doing with your wickedness? What about the grief you putting on your mama with your disobedience? How ain't nobody thinking about that? Why don't nobody want to talk about that? What about the reproach and dishonor you bring on this household with your contrary behavior? Ain't nobody thinking about that. Oh, she gonna kill herself. Come on, man. How long are we gonna allow these kids to just cover these kids when they doing wrong? How long are we gonna coddle people for doing wrong? That's why people are soft, because there's no retribution for doing. You want to give encouragement for being wicked and disobedient. How is that possible? Dang. Hold on, y'all.
Welcome. There is one other participant in this conference. Please announce yourself.
All right, hold on, dude. Okay, that's what's wrong with people. They're justifying when they're wrong. Make them feel good when they're wrong. All right.
This line is now off hold.
I can't make people feel good when they're wrong. Ain't nothing to feel good about. Hey, where was I going before that? 1 Corinthians chapter 5. 1 Corinthians 5 and 9. I wrote unto you an epistle not to company with fornicators, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters, or then ye must needs ye go out of the world. Hello? Hello? But now have I written unto you, not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator. Oh, hello? Hello? Shalom. How you doing, Dina? I'm all right. Say, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, of which one should know one to eat. But what have I to do to judge them that are without? Do you not judge them that are within? This is what the Most High just did with Miriam. He judged her that was within. He said, but them that are without, Allah judge. Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person. So that's why we see him. I like to say, if you wouldn't have been ashamed, because when you look at camp, camp is a body of people. So she was separated from the body so she could be ashamed. This is why he did that. Let me cut you off from the body. Let me cut you off from the Shia. Let me cut you off from believers. Let me cut you off from them so you could be ashamed of your behavior. Because if your daddy would have spit in your face, then you would have learned to be ashamed, and then you wouldn't even done what you just did. So if you ever hear me say somebody ought to spit in your face, that means you ought to learn how to be ashamed. You should have been ashamed for being wrong a long time ago, that you wouldn't have to be ashamed right now. See, wicked people don't want to be shamed, because that means you don't want to be humble. Because that's what shame is supposed to do, humble you. That man say, a humble and contrite ruach he will not despise. He say he dwells with him that is of a contrite heart and a humble spirit. That's what he's looking for. Now, like I say, I wouldn't have cut my daughter head bald. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I would have went that far. You know what I'm saying? But because the book actually say it's a shame for a woman to have a bald head, you know what I'm talking about? And you've been conducting behavior that is shameful, it's only right. You get recompense with shame. The book say, if you sow to your flesh, you're going to reap to your flesh corruption. If you sow shameful behavior, you're going to reap a shameful consequence. People sow shameful behavior, and then you want to give them an encouraging consequence? Are you smoking crack? That's not right judgment. Now you judging like what? I was looking at that O.J. Simpson 30 for 30 last night, but they were just dealing with the Rodney King story when I was looking at it before I departed. And there was a lady, white lady, she killed a little girl, little black girl. They gave that white lady probation. You know what I'm saying? How you get probation for murdering somebody? You know what I'm saying? When we sit back and look at it, we want to give encouragement for shameful behavior, we judge it like the system. Hello? Hello? So, hold on. Hello? You can't judge like that. That's what's wrong with these people right now, telling you to pray for some sissies. Take it easy on a transgressor. That's why our children out of pocket. I want you to come over here. What I want we mention for first. Ezekiel 36. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel chapter 36. Talking about verse 26. Matter of fact, I'm going to read 26. Matter of fact, back it up. I'm going to read 20. We're going to work our way around. I want you to hear what this man tell you to do. This is why people don't get right. This is why people don't get right. Shame will get you right. You know what I'm saying? Because when you shame, you ain't going to do it no more. Matter of fact, get Romans 6 and 16 behind this. I'll get to the Isaiah chapter 3 in a minute. When they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my Kadesh name when they said to them, these are the people of YAHUAH, and are gone out forth of his land. But I had pity for my Kadesh name, which the house of YAHUAH profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of YAHUAH, thus saith YAHUAH Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of YAHUAH, but for my Kadesh name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. That's the first thing you need to sit back and realize. He ain't sent the master for you. He sent that for his name, because you got his name bad. You shaming his name with your shameful behavior. Now, just like I told Kira, now we turn around and look at it. How you niggas ain't gonna be shamed when the master took on shame for you? He took your shame for your sins for you. And when you commit sin, you can't take on no shame. That's unjust judgment. And you should go to hell for that. That's unrighteousness and judgment. You have just judged wrong. Because the master was shamed. They spit in his face. He was put outside the camp just like Miriam. He became leprous just like Miriam. He took that shame on. These people spit in this man's face because of you. These people plucked this man's beard out because of you. These people stabbed this man in his side because of you. This man was impaled in his hands and his feet because of you. He was hit in the head with a reed and a rod because of you. This man was stoned because of you. This man was slapped in his face because of you. He took all that shame on for your sins, and you committed sin, and you don't want to take on no shame? That's wicked. That's wicked. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way around that. That's what the book say. You know what I'm saying? How we gonna operate like that? And you want me to pray for some homos? I ain't praying for no homos. I ain't praying for no sinner, period. That man said, don't you pray for these people for their good. This man said, I don't pray for the world. That man said, if you justify the wicked, you are an abomination to YAHUAH. Because when you justify the wicked, you justify their daddy. You saying the devil is right. So you running with a sinner, you hanging with a sinner, you justify him, you saying the devil is right. You ought to go to hell for that. The book tells you, if you have pleasure in them that do unrighteousness, you deserve the same judgment. You know what I'm saying? That's tight right there. That's extra tight. Niggas think this thing is a joke. Man, I'm talking about, boy, you can get damn real quick. Real quick. When you don't sit back and look at it. I ain't finna justify no wicked person. Just because you love them. Or you care about them. Or that's my mom. Or that's my daddy, sister, brother, wife, cousin, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. Nigga, no. Nigga, you wrong. Because when you end up justifying the wicked, you gon' condemn the just in the same breath. You condemning the master when you justify the wicked. Just like they did when they killed him. They justified Barabbas to condemn the just. You can't justify the just and justify the wicked at the same token. You're gonna have to choose. You're gonna have to choose. We were talking about this in the group chat. Now we know the Most High use sinners to kill sinners now. Now all the false flag stuff and all that stuff everybody else talking about, we ain't gonna get into all that. You know what I'm saying? It's coming out that the dude might have been a homosexual himself. You know what I'm saying? Now it's coming out and saying the police might have shot some of these people. You know what I'm talking about? Who even know? Because if they were banging at him, that means bullets was flying everywhere. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless of what, it was YAHUAH's desire to kill 50 sinners that night. At the end of the day. And it could have been a regular secular club. No homosexuals. And I say the same thing. I mean, it was designed to kill adulterers and fornicators that night. You know what I'm saying? That was his will. Guess what? And they was already breaking the Shabbat when they got there, not when they was in the club. You know, if they in the club, they were breaking that. You ain't sitting there looking at, you can't add all this sin together. It may say because a sentence against or a judgment against an evil work is not executed speedily. You people think you can sin at your leisure. You never think the judgment is coming back. And you assume you're not going to die for it. But you're going to die for it. Either now or later. You know what I'm saying? Look what he say now. Verse 23. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am YAHUAH, saith YAHUAH Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you to your own land. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new ruach will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart of your flesh, out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Let me tell you something, right? We know Hebrews 3 talking about your heart being hard through the deceitfulness of sin. See, that's why he said he had to take that stony heart up out of you. See, I'm going to tell you something, because I've been watching it live. for the last few months. But when you go committing sin, your heart gets harder and harder and harder. Hello? Hello? That's real now. Y'all don't realize that. When you commit sin, your heart gets harder and harder to the word now. When you lean to your flesh and you gratify that, you don't want to hear what's right no more. You try to, I'm telling you, man, Proverbs 14 and 25, y'all better consider it. There's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Keep thinking your judgment right. You sit back and you realize when you hear that word and you're going to kick it against it because it's cutting on something you want to do and your mind getting hard. Well, just know you're getting close to going to hell. Because I mean your heart's getting hard to the word. And once this man hardened your heart completely, you're going down like Pharaoh. Who you think harden your heart to the word and soften your heart to the word? That means YAHUAH harden your heart to the word because he know you don't want to do it. So he going to make sure you don't do it. You got to think about this stuff. That's a just judgment, ain't it? You don't want to do it, so I'm going to give you a mind not to do it, right? You want to do it, I'm going to give you a mind to do it. He does Elohim, he does Elohim work. That man said, why you don't believe me and I tell you the truth? He said, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? We become enemies of Elohim because we hear the truth cutting against what our flesh wants. Now we speaking against what's right. One around here, hypocrite, saying this man, but saying this man's name falsely. Swearing in the name of YAHUAH, but telling lies while we doing. We talk about not coming to the altar falsely, not swearing falsely. Don't be coming in this man's covenant knowing you ain't going to keep it. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just stay out there in the world, put the book down. You want to run with sinners? You want to do what sinners do? Then be a sinner. He said, he that is unjust still, let him be unjust. He that is filthy, let him be filthy still. If that's what you want to be that way, stay that way. Because you can't be Kadesh and be filthy. You can't have everything. You can't have YAHUAH and what you want. Man, I seen two of my people say something. It's real now. One of them I was real close when we were young. You know, sometimes the Most High give you what you want just to show you that ain't what you needed. But by the time you realize it, it's too late and you going to hell. Y'all do realize that because you can see that in the book. He can give you exactly what you want. But by the time he turn you over to your counsels, because we already done read that, give them over to their counsels. By the time you realize that's what it is, it's too late. Stay that way. Because that's what you wanted. I'm going to let you see what your end going to be. Your end is going to be death. So that means we got to make sure that this man that we seek to have this man take that heart of stone out of us, give you a heart of flesh. Or you're going to perish. Drop down to verse 30 though, 31. I want you to look what the man tell you now. Look what the man tell you now. See, the reason why some of y'all so easy to go be off and judge wrong, because you don't do what the man told you. Listen, this is an instruction now. Sometimes y'all wonder, man, that nigga always talking about when he sold dope and this, that, and the third. I can tell you about it, but I know I ain't going to go back to it. You know what I'm saying? Listen what he tell you to do. Then shall you remember your own ways and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. How many of y'all done sat back and look at you remember your ways and your doings? I mean, you know what it means to loathe yourself, right? Let's sit back and look at the Hebrew word for that. You know what that means to loathe yourself, right? That would be disgusting. How many people really loathe themselves for their abominations? You know that's going to be a sign of actual humility because you loathe yourself for what you haven't done. Most of our people don't do that. They don't loathe themselves. They ain't trying to remember none of that stuff they were doing. That Hebrew word is cut. It means to be grieved, to feel a loathing, to detest. See, you supposed to sit back. The same pleasure that you took in sin, you supposed to have that same detest or abominable feeling towards doing it again. You know what I'm saying? How you supposed to feel? I never do. How could I do something like that? You know what I'm saying? People don't be feeling like what. He said, now for your sakes do I this, saith YAHUAH Elohim, be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Yasharal. That means you need to be ashamed. Look at Romans 6 and 16. You need to be ashamed. See, people probably get a lot further and be a lot better off if they would just be ashamed. Because when you're ashamed, guess what that means? You can humble yourself when you're ashamed. That's why the man say, you wouldn't be out here ashamed for these 7 days. I wouldn't have to humble you like this here if your daddy had already spit in your face. Somehow, like I could just tell somebody you'll spit in their face so they could be shamed. You ought to be shamed. Ought to be shamed. We ought to be ashamed for everything that we did contrary to the word. You know what I'm saying? We ought to be ashamed of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because when you know what happens when you're not ashamed? You can don't do it again. You know what I'm saying? Something gonna stop you from doing it again. If you go lay with somebody and you wasn't ashamed of doing it, you're gonna go do it again. If you got drunk, you know what I'm saying, and you wasn't ashamed, you're gonna get another bottle. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna come up with something in your head to make you feel like ain't nothing wrong. So when you doing this, now listen what I'm telling you now, I want you to follow now. When you commit sin, you are justifying the wicked. You are justifying Satan. You are saying Satan is right and his way is right. And condemning Yahuwah in the same breath. Condemning YAHUAH in the same breath. Because you saying the just or what truly is right is actually wrong. Because every time you do it, you condemning him to death. Now take that into account if you've been immersed in his death. That make it worse. You know what I'm saying? So we have to consider our behavior and what we are actually doing. You know what I'm saying? Know ye not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness. But Elohim be thanked that you were the servants of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Being then made free from sin, you become the servants of righteousness. I speak after the manner of men because of the infirmity of your flesh. For as ye have yielded your members servants to uncleanness and to iniquity unto iniquity, and so now yield your members servants to righteousness unto Kadesh. For when you were servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. What fruit had ye in those things whereof you are now ashamed? He just told you to be ashamed of everything you're doing. He said, what fruit did you get out of it? Now, I didn't read the verse behind that in Ezekiel 36 where he was talking about the fruit of the trees. What fruit are you getting out of things that you were once ashamed of? Of course you're gonna keep doing. This man sat back and said, Troy put this up there in the group chat, right? Maybe one day most I will, maybe even this week. I'll go into it in greater detail. You know what he put up there, right? He said, you turn around and look at it, right? He gave skins to Adam and Eve, right? Animal skins, right? But that was only temporary. He gave them animal, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was, let me see what animal it was. I don't want to say it. He said they sold them fig leaves. Yeah, I know it. My page tore up, so I can't see the thing all the way to the bottom. Because I know they did that, then he gave him something else. I'm trying to remember what animal it was, but I don't want to misquote the animal. They say what animal it is. I'm looking at it right now. Gave him skins. Yeah, just a coat of skins. Now we sit back and we look at, huh?
Okay, interesting with that too, because it says when you look at it, God allowed death to enter into the world. Up until that point, death wasn't in the world. So since we have dominion over everything, that means everything that we have dominion over has to die as well.
Absolutely. Hold on, y'all.
Call from
Yes, my name is Tracy Smith.
to accept, press 1. Okay. I sent the caller a voicemail.
I gotta call you back, buddy. I call y'all back. So, sit back and think about it, right? You look at coat of skin. I'm trying to think because badger skins keep coming to my mind for a particular garment. You know what I'm saying? But you know, some garments were made from animal skin. You know what I'm saying? But all this is showing you is that he gave you a covering for your transgression. Didn't stop that transgression. What we're basically looking at is, we know that bulls and goats could never forgive sin or put away sin or take away the knowledge of sin. You know what I'm saying? Because now also you sit back and look at it, right? Do you realize what action did Adam and Eve show after y'all came looking for them? What did they show? They were shamed. You know what I'm saying? Now he put them out, but he didn't kill them right then and there on the spot because of the humble and contrite heart, because they were ashamed. They were ashamed. They sat back and looked at what we did. We are ashamed. He said, what fruit had you in those things where you were now ashamed? You know what I'm saying? That's what our problem is. We don't want to be shamed. Like, I ain't see the video, but like I said, Kira was telling me about it. Lady cut the little girl head off. All the hell. You know what I'm saying? Now come over here and look at Isaiah chapter 3. You know what I'm saying? Now I gotta tell you, I'm gonna reiterate it again. I probably wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Just because I don't necessarily want my daughter walking around here bald headed. You know what I'm talking about? But in the same token, I know why the mama did it. She might have not did it because of no book. You know what I'm talking about? But I know why she did it. Because, you know, I'm going to show you how hypocritical people is. You got a problem when that lady cutting that little girl hair off, but you ain't got no problem when these men cut soup bowls and patches in these little boys' heads. Right? I ain't never heard nobody have no uproar when nobody do them little boys like that. Yeah. It's for the purpose of shaming, right? You see the unjust judgment? So it's right when it's a little boy, it's wrong when it's a little girl, but the same cause in both instances is to shame them for shameful behavior. That's unjust. That's a false weight and a false balance. That's an abomination to YAHUAH. You know what I'm saying? Gotta judge it right now. We gotta come back to Malachi 2 and 17 too. I ain't finished that verse. We'll get back to it in a minute. I'm just trying to make a point. Because if you judge something to be wrong on one end, you gotta judge it like that on every instant. The judgment has to be consistent. You can't say it's all right to cut a little boy have to look like Sherman Hemsley. You know what I'm saying? Look like George Jefferson. And it ain't right to cut a little girl head bald. But like I say, the whole key point is, what did these children do to get their parents to the point that they felt it was necessary to do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, that ain't what nobody looking at. What were these children doing that it got to the point that their parent deemed it necessary for them to do it? Why ain't nobody speaking of the disobedience of the child? The wickedness of the child. You know, our law say if you don't want to listen to your parents, take them out there and stone them. Man, we bruised. That's wicked you don't listen to your parents. That's wicked you disrespect your parents. That man said your days will be short on the earth. So all it goes down to show is, if you don't want to take shame and rebuke and correction from your parent, how you going to take it from YAHUAH? You're not going to take it. Sons take correction and chastisement and rebuke. They take that. When you despise that, you are a bastard. And in this case, a bald-headed bastard. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's pride. And pride is abominable to YAHUAH. He resists the proud. That's what you're missing. You might hear me say this, oh man, he called a little girl a bald-headed. Man, I ain't called that. I'm trying to resonate it in your brain. You sit back and realize you the bald-headed bastard, not the little girl. She walking the pathway of being a bald-headed bastard. Meaning shame. She'll be a shamed, illegitimate son of YAHUAH. That's what it means. You kick somebody bald, that was for shame or mourning. Know your book, know your ways. Somebody got their head cut bald, that was for shame or mourning. You don't see no other people cutting their kids' heads bald. That stuff is inherently in you. Hello? Hello? Isaiah 3 and 17. 16. Moreover, YAHUAH said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing their feet, mincing as they go, making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore YAHUAH will smite with the scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and YAHUAH will discover their secret parts. And in that day YAHUAH will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments. About their feet their calls and their round ties like the moon. The chains, the bracelets, the mufflers. Drop down to verse 24, because we ain't got time to read all that. It shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. Instead of a stomach, a girding of sackcloth, and a burning instead of beauty. So you see right here, he took it. He said, I'm going to make you bald because of your pride. So now I say, right, I didn't look at the video of the little girl getting her hair cut bald, but I'm going to sit back and look at the spiritual connotation of it according to the word. And I'm only mentioning it because Kira said something to me about it. Because I guess she was looking at it when she called it, or when I called it down. Cutting the little girl's head was because of her pride. You know what I'm saying? You would not humble yourself to correction. So this last resort, I have to shame you. You know what I'm saying? You see, YAHUAH is saying the same thing to the daughters of YAHUAH. Because of your pride, I'm gonna make you bald to shame you. To shame you. Now, when we look in the word, the only other time you see when somebody cut their head bald was mourning. And he told you not to do it for the dead. But usually people cut their head bald because they went mourning. So when somebody cut their head bald in our brain culture, it was for shame or for mourning. Y'all need to know that. Don't y'all find it ironic that our people the only ones be cut their little kids' heads bald or cut patches in them when they get out of pocket? You don't see no Asians or no Arabs or no Africans or no white folks or no Indian people. I ain't talking about Native American Indians, but the red dot. Making videos doing their kids like that. But you do it though. Because whether you know it or not, he said this word is very nigh to you, even in your heart and in your mouth, and you should do it, right? It's with you. The ruach is willing, the flesh is weak. This man's word is with you. Will you incline your ruach to obey it and follow it and listen to it with the intent to obey it and follow it? Do you believe it? Because you do things that are in the book, not realizing you doing things that are in the book, showing that you are this man's people. Our people had no problem shaming somebody who was wicked. No problem. That's what our Elohim taught us. Shame him. So everybody else might fear. That's your law. That's what your law say to do. That's why we read that with Miriam. And then line it up with what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 5. That's what your law say to do. But you niggas don't want to be shamed. You want somebody to say, it's all right you got high. It's all right you were having sex. It's all right you cheated on your husband. It's all right you cheated on your wife. It's all right you a liar. It's okay. Stay up. Stay strong. No. No. You know what I'm saying? That's not what you're supposed to do. You are not supposed to give encouragement when someone is suffering from doing wrong. You're not supposed to do that. This man say he loved judgment. I mean, he loved what's right. Do you love what's right? He said a righteous mouth talk of judgment. Do you speak of what's right? He said he preserved his Kadeshim. The wicked and their seed shall be destroyed forever. Do you believe that? Or does that offend you? I think for a lot of people it offends them. Jeremiah 3:1. See, this is what happens. When you don't want to be ashamed, this is what you is. Male or female, don't make no difference. Don't sit back and think that you're talking about no woman. They classifying this to no woman. Male or female, don't make no difference. Men could be hoes too. They say if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another's man, shall she return unto her again? Shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith YAHUAH. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places and see where thou hast not been lain. In the ways hast thou sat with them as the Arabian in the wilderness. Thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withholding thee. Therefore have been no latter rain. And thou hast a whore's forehead. Thou refuse to be ashamed. See, hoes on, I ain't gonna be ashamed. That means you're not humble. Whores are not humble. They can't be humble because my way is right. And I will hold on to my way and my pride all the way to my destruction. We have to consider that. You said that you look at homosexuals, how they be going against the most high stuff they be doing. Well, them some real proud people. I don't care nothing about you being no faggot. That's your own personal business. You the one got to answer to y'all for it. I ain't got to answer for it. I'm going to tell you it's wrong, though. I ain't going to budge on that. Ezekiel chapter 3. I ain't going to budge on that. See, some of you don't want to offend nobody. Y'all don't even want to offend some of your own brothers and sisters. I ain't talking about your blood either. You don't want to offend them by telling them what you're doing is wrong. I don't agree with it. You don't want to offend them. Who cares if they get offended? He said, love your neighbors, you love yourself. But do justice and judgment to your neighbor. Tell him the truth. You going to hell for that. Man, I don't know what you got going on. Who told you that was right? How you formed that in your mind that was right? Ezekiel chapter 3, look what this man told him. By verse 7. Make it 6. This our people right here. Matter of fact, verse 4. I want you to listen to what he tell you. Listen to what he tell you now. He said, why do you not understand my speech? Even because you can't hear my word. He said, it's like I'm speaking another language to y'all. Listen to what he tell me. He said unto me, son of man, go get thee unto the house of YAHUAH and speak with them my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of YAHUAH. Not too many people of strange speech and of a hard language, whose words thou cannot understand. Listen what he said. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee. All us as a people should be ashamed. Because he just told their prophet, if I would have sent you to another people, I guarantee you they would have heard what you had to say. You should be ashamed of that alone. You should be ashamed that your Elohim say, if I sent you to these white folks, if I sent you to these Arabs, if I sent you to these Latinos, if I sent you to these East Asians, if I sent you to these Africans, if I sent you to these Native Americans, if I sent you to these East Indians, I guarantee you they would have heard what I said. Why you think Paul say, man, I'm going to the Gentile, they don't hear it? So I bet they hear it, because he ain't even went to no people in no strange speech and no hard language who couldn't understand what he was saying. Why is it when we come to the people who the book is made for, you won't hear it? We can take it to a Gentile, they take hold to it and love it. How wicked are we? How unjust are we? That our own power sit back and say, yeah, man, I guarantee you they heard it. They'll hear you. Them people right there, they not going to hear you. Listen what he tells them after that. But the house of YAHUAH will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me. For all the house of YAHUAH are imputed and hard-hearted, stubborn and proud. He said, I know they're not going to listen to you, Ezekiel, because they don't listen to me. Don't you realize when somebody's speaking, they speaking Yahuwah's word and not theirs? Don't you realize if a man is just, the book say the judgment is of Yahuwah's and not man's. That means he's judging according to what the words say. How you be so dumb you think a nigga judging from their own personal opinion and they telling you what the book say? That mean you hate God. That mean you hate Yahuwah. You hate the man who was shamed on your behalf. Because I want to sit back and actually read every place where this man took on your sin and was shamed for you. He was shamed for you. You ought to be ashamed for those things that you had no fruit in. Hello? Hello? Shalom. Listen what he say next. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and their forehead strong against their foreheads. As an adamant harder than a flint have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So that means you're supposed to stand strong. You ain't supposed to turn off the word because they go to looking crazy, because they go to talking crazy, because they feelings hurt, because they mad. I mean, you weak in faith. Because you worry about, oh, they're mad. I don't want to, you wicked bastard. I done spoke to people, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. You can't come tell me you running down a list of wickedness and unbelief, and I'm going to tell you that straight. You tell me something that go along with this book, I'm going to tell you don't believe this book. You hate Yah. Now what we going to do about that is going to be the next thing I say out my mouth. What are we going to do about that? What can we do to rectify that? Not gonna tell you what you want to hear. That's what's wrong with most of y'all. You've been running your whole life with people who've been kissing your behind, telling you what you want to hear, blowing smoke up your behind. Most of your friends tell you what you want to hear. Now people don't love you and care about you telling you what you want to hear. I done told most of y'all before, I was raised that way. My mama didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. My auntie ain't tell me what I wanted to hear. The friends I grew up with did not tell me what I wanted to hear. We didn't grow up like that. It's like straight up, we did not grow up like that. I'm talking about my peers. None of the niggas I ran with, and I had a lot of friends in my neighborhood, a lot of dudes in the neighborhood, man. Dudes did not tell you what you wanted to hear. You know what I'm saying? They be like, boy, you messing up, boy, you need to tighten up. Well, that wasn't right what you did. Niggas ain't blow no smoke up your behind. Y'all used to people telling you what you want to hear and blowing smoke up your behind. So when somebody come telling you that you don't want to hear, you think they got a problem, or you think it's this, or you think it's that. Boy, I'm going to tell you about your behind. It don't mean I don't like you. It don't mean I don't love you. It don't mean I don't care about you. It actually means I actually care. If I'm hard on you, that means I actually care. If I'm hard on you, that means I perceive it's something great in you. You don't be hard on somebody who ain't got nothing in them. Most of y'all played sports. You ain't see coaches being hard on the garbage players. The players who he knew had no talent. The players who he knew couldn't do anything or have any effect on the game. They did that to the ones that were great or hadn't tapped their potential. That's why most people shy away from disciplinarians or hard people, because it's going to push them to become great. They're about to slide back into mediocrity with a nigga who ain't going to push them to do nothing. That'll let them go, it's all right. That's a buster. You'll sit back and run with a nigga content with you destroying yourself. Me and my homeboy used to sit around all the time, man, and try to come up with ways to make ourselves feel better for selling crack. Man, we knew we were wrong. You know what I'm saying? But we had to try to figure out a way, and then we'd sit back and like, boy, you know, we dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way around that. Nigga, we killing people for a profit. You know what I'm saying? Not only selling them crack, boy, I might have to sit back and look at, I might have to up this pistol on this man, because I feel like he's been after me a long time. I might have to kill my people, my brother, because I feel like this nigga might come to rob me and take my life. Now I got to kill my brother. I don't want to kill this man. I don't want to take this man from his kids. I don't want to take a son from his mama. You know what I'm talking about? A woman from her mate or her at a time we ain't thinking about getting married. We young. Then on the flip side, I go to jail. Now I done took myself away from my sister. Now she got to suffer that. You know what I'm saying? See, we talk about the other part of hustling like this here because of the business aspect of it. When we can get to the real part, niggas dying out here on these streets. Now, I was riding last night. Nigga was dead, 2 nights ago. Nigga dead in the street off murder, nigga. Dead out here on these streets. Gone, nigga murdered. Nigga riding past, crime scene tape, car laid out in the street. He's gone. And what these niggas do go to the funeral? Telling lies. And that's what you niggas doing right now. Watching a nigga doing wrong, lying to him, telling they doing right. That's how evil we are. That's how much we don't love each other. Because we won't tell each other the truth. Boy, you going to hell for that, boy. I don't know what you got going on. You nigga tell you a long drawn out story of straight evil and straight wrong, and you just sit there and look at him and be like, don't say a word. You evil. You ought to go to hell with him for not rebuking him. How you love him? How we judging righteously? How is right ruling going forward if nobody is standing up for it? Now, I purposely ain't say nothing about them faggots in Orlando because I ain't feel like going back and forth arguing with niggas on no medium. I ain't just going to be do like most niggas do. When something happens, they just go to posting verses, picking at people about it. Oh, boy, if you say something to me, I'll tell you what's on my mind, though. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you what's on my mind. I don't care nothing about none one of them niggas who died out there spiritually. Them were not the children of Elohim. Naturally, I feel for their families. I know that kind of rough. Regardless of what they were doing on a natural level, that man ain't had no business going in there shooting nobody. You know what I'm talking about? But if Yahuwah moved him to go do it, to execute righteousness, and only Yahuwah know if that was his will to do it, and we know what the book say. If there evil be done in the city, have I not Yahuwah done it? I know who did it. His judgment is just. Yahuwah is righteous. Let him do as he please. The judgment for sin must come through. And just like the book say, let the dead bury the dead. I don't care nothing about no sinners. You know why I don't care nothing? Because they don't care nothing about me. You know what I'm saying? When I say this, the reason why I say this, right? Because we got to sit back and look at the aspect when you get put in the situation that the master was in. When it comes down to a sinner or a Kadeshim, the sinners are picking the sinner. They're not picking the Kadeshim. When it come down, these people come to kill us and lock us up for standing on the testimony of YAHUAH and keeping the commandments of Elohim, you think your family gonna stand up for you then? You gonna think they say, that's my daughter? That's my son? That's my husband? That's my, you know? No! They wicked buckle down. I don't know that nigga. Kill that nigga. The man already told you your kinfolk gonna turn you in. The only people gonna do it is sinners. Y'all don't think like that. Boy, you supposed to sit back and look at, that's my mama, that's my daddy. But if it get real, who they gonna cling to? They gonna cling to their God. Satan. When it comes down to their life or yours, because y'all can sit back and all that yin yang all you want. But when these people sit back and look at they really killing people for standing on their book, people gonna say they self. The number one rule of nature is self-preservation. Them niggas ain't taking no bullet for you. They ain't getting beheaded for you. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna do it. Because they don't love YAHUAH like that. I'm just sitting there and tell you something. I've been giving you fair warning, man. Because that man said they gonna cleave to the righteous with flatteries now. Say the wicked gonna flatter you now. That man already told you beforehand what's gonna happen. You can believe it or you don't gotta believe it. But when he show it to you, you ain't gonna say you ain't heard it. You ain't gonna open your mouth and say you ain't heard it though. Go back to Malachi 2:17. Let me cut this thing short, man. I'm gonna read some of that stuff where that man was shamed for your sins. Then you ought to be able to know if you commit a sin, you ought to be shamed. That don't necessarily mean that we got to shame you. You understand what I'm saying? That don't mean that, okay, we're gonna berate you and shame you. But you ought to be shamed. How can you sit back? So I'm gonna tell you something. That's the purpose of why he said you sit back, he tell you to confess your iniquities. You know what I'm saying? So you can be ashamed. And so that everybody else might fear. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have to take on that same shame. We don't think like that. You think like Europeans. I promise you do. When it comes to certain aspects, you think like Europeans. Because Europeans say you shouldn't do people like that. You know, everybody makes mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And true indeed, everybody do. You know what I'm talking about? But it's a difference when you know better. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all supposed to know you. Not everybody, but most of y'all supposed to know your Elohim. And when you know your Elohim, that means you know your Savior. And if you know YAHUAH HaMashiach, that means you know Abba. You know, ain't no iniquity with Abba. He's an Elohim of judgment. That means we ought to know what's right and what's wrong. We ought to be able to decide things properly. Like I told y'all, I was talking to Will about it last night. I'm going to reiterate it again. From this point in, just like I said, I'm going to reiterate it again, most high will on Shabbat. From this point on, if anybody got an issue with anybody, you take it to them one-on-one. They don't want to hear that? Go to get you 2 or 3 witnesses. If you ain't got 2 or 3 witnesses, you're going to bring it in front of the whole body. And I'm going to tell y'all something real. If you got an issue and you don't want to stand in front of the whole body, that already tell me you the wrong one. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to stand in front of everybody and deal with the matter in front of everybody, that let me know you the one wrong. Because what would you be fearful for standing in front of everybody for? And I'm going to pick the least esteemed member to judge it. I ain't going to judge it unless it's too difficult for them to judge. That's real now. I ain't going to judge it. I'm going to pick somebody. I'm talking about every time. I'm going to pick somebody else to judge it. I'm not going to judge it. Dead serious on that. I ain't going to judge it. It has to be too difficult for that person to handle. Then I'll do it. And that goes for everybody. Every last one of y'all should have the wherewithal to be able to judge even the smallest matters. Y'all should have that ability. Therefore, I shouldn't have to do it. And I mean that. You know what I'm saying? If there be any issues, if it be somebody who departed and they come back and you had issues with that person, that will be handled the first day. That's not carrying on for a week. That ain't carrying on for 2 weeks. That's going to be put to bed immediately. You know what I'm saying? Immediately. It's not carrying over. It's not fostering. It's not bubbling. It's not happening. I'm going to sit back and tell you, if you got a problem with that, then it might not be best for you to be coming around, because we're going to have to handle this stuff just like condem is supposed to handle it. That's how it's supposed to be handled. That's what the book say. That's what's going to be done. That way, stuff don't bubble up. Stuff don't explode. I had mentioned that once before, and it didn't happen because people didn't want to agree to do it. You know what I'm saying? This is non-negotiable. That's what the book say. That's what's going to be done. You don't want to do it. That means you commit sin. And if you don't want to hear about it, just like the book say, to sit back and tell you wrong, Then I'm going to treat you like an heathen man and a publican. I don't care which one of y'all that is. And y'all know what that means. Sanctify myself from you. Because he said, if you don't want to hear the body, treat him like a heathen man and a publican. That's what the book say. You got a problem with that? Take it up with the master. Malachi 2:17. You have wearied Yahuwah with your words. Yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? When you say, everyone that do evil is good in the sight of Yahuwah, and he delighted in them, or where is the Elohim of judgment? Y'all better sit back and realize you committing sin when you say he delighted in a sinner. You know how evil you got to be thanking Yah for a sinner? Yah, thank you for this sinner. You is evil. That means you telling Yah, I delight in wickedness. This man saying, rejoice in the truth, not in iniquity. Ain't no iniquity in the truth. Ain't no iniquity in Yahushua. So he gonna have you in iniquity? He gonna have you thanking him for sinners? How retarded is that? Where's the just judgment in that? That's the greatest thing I've ever. Man, oh man. Matthew 27. So we give praise, esteem, and honor, and Baruch, Yahuwah, Bahashem, Yahushua. So he gonna have you in iniquity? He gonna have you thanking him for sinners? How retarded is that? Where's the just judgment in that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Man, oh man. What it is, man. Matthew 27. Let's look at the shame this man took. Make it 26 first. I want y'all to see the shame this man took for your sins. 26 and about 55. I'm sorry, about 65. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of that. Then they did spit in his face. Hold this and look at Hebrews chapter 13. Remember, Miriam was put outside the camp. Hebrews 13, verse 10. We have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle. For the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burnt without the camp. Wherefore Yahushua also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate. Let us go forth therefore unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. Knowing that Miriam took on leprosy or took on sin and was put outside the camp and had to suffer that shame for 7 days is a similitude of Mashiach. Suffering outside the camp for shame of sin. Say if his father had but spit in his face, he wouldn't have had to do this here. So this man literally had to come back and had these people spit in his face and put him outside the camp for him to suffer shame. Your shame is what he's suffering. Not his shame. He took on your shame. The reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me. Your shame fell on him, and he took it. You got to be able to take shame for your own sins. Come on back now. Matthew 26, 67. You think about that now. Look what they did to him. They did spit in his face. They buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, thou Mashiach, who is he that smote thee? They slapping the man. Open hand slapping the man to the two most things you could do to disrespect a man is spit in his face and slap him. This is what they did to him. Because of you. Let's look at Matthew 27. Let's look what else they did to him. That man said, be ashamed. This is what he had to do to sanctify his great name. He told you to be ashamed. You wouldn't do it, so the master did it. You know what manner of love that is? Why we won't love him back and do what he say? We'll rather delight in them who sit back and say those that are good or that are evil or good in Yahuwah's sight, he delight in them. That's how dumb we are. Matthew 27, what we need here? Probably about verse 29. Make it 27. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahushua to the common hall and gathered them to the whole band of soldiers. They stripped him and put on a scarlet robe and snatched his clothes off on them. They got the man out there half naked. And when they planted a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and his reed in his right hand. They bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, Malach of the Yahudim. And they spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head, mocking him, hitting him in the head, steady spitting on him. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him and put on his own raiment and led him away to be crucified. Then look at verse 34 to make it worse. Then they come to give him sour wine. Then when we get dropped down, we got to read all that in verses 40 through 41. They mocking him for the word that he preached. Come to Hebrews 12 and 2 and we'll stop it right there. Well, after that, Luke 6 and 46. Hebrews 12 and 2. Looking unto Yahushua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. For consider him that endures such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. You have not resisted under blood, striving against sin. You sit back and look at that. That man took a great contradiction against himself, striving against sin. This man despised the shame. That shame didn't even bother him. He had no problem. He took it joy to suffer shame. We're going to look at that more in depth. Just not tonight. Well, I done went a little longer than I desired to. 6 and 46. And why call ye me master, master, and do not the things which I say? Whosoever come to me and hear my sayings and do them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and dig deep and laid the foundations on a rock. And when the flood arose and the stream beat vehemently upon that house, and they could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. But he that hear and do not is like a man without a foundation, built an house upon the rats, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I'm going to tell y'all something, right?